My, what a day. So, what a week, actually. I mean, we had Cliven Bundy all last week. And now it turns out the Koch brothers front group, Americans for Prosperity, has scrubbed him off their website. But they got this serious, ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, has this serious thing going on out west about basically snatching Western lands from the federal government and giving it to the states so that the states can give it to people like the Koch brothers. Or so it would seem. And, and then, of course, Donald Sterling. I mean, let's assume for a moment that Limbaugh is right in that this guy actually is demented, that he's in the early stages of some kind of dementia. He is 70-something, isn't he? I don't know. Whatever. And, I mean, that's not that old. But, you know, some of these Alzheimer's and some of these really nasty diseases can just whack you at any age, and you just never know. But in any case, let's assume that he's demented. That doesn't mean he's not a racist. It doesn't mean that he's not presenting a worldview that, you know, maybe a lot of guys, white guys sitting around, you know, with a can of beer in their hand, in their undershirts, watching TV, have, but they don't own an NBA team. And they're not a slumlord. Racism at its core, in terms of impact on society, in my opinion, and I would love to hear yours if you think I'm wrong on this, racism at its core is not so much about, although it includes, but it's not so much about being aware of racial differences, of the differences of race. That person has a different skin color than I do. Maybe they dress differently, or that, you know, there are some cultural differences, whatever it may be. And it's not just, I'm just talking black and white, you know, fill in the blank, right? It's not just about that. And it's not just about any one particular race looking at other races and saying, you know, we're superior to them. I mean, that's something that, for example, well, I probably get into examples at my own peril. It's not just about that. It's about acting on it and having the power to act on it. And that's where it becomes a whole different thing. That's where it moves out of the realm. And by the way, you could say the same about sexism, about women earning 70 cents on the dollar that men earn, and that whole thing. People are welcome to have their opinions. You can't stop people from having their opinions. Some of their opinions are going to be repellent. Some of their opinions are going to be abhorrent. Some of their opinions are going to be bizarre. When we as a society, and we as a society, you know, should do everything we can to try and kind of clean all that up. And I think that, for example, something I didn't experience in school, but Louise, my wife, did. She went to a basically all-white high school in East Lansing, Michigan, a university town. And they had a black awareness class when she was 13 or 14 in junior high school. And for a whole year, she had to study black history. And, I mean, she's still telling me stories from that. It woke up this little white girl who had never actually interacted with black people before to the, you know, to what their experience might have been like in some small ways. So with stuff like that, I mean, we should be doing just simple stuff like that. You know, there's all this Sturm and Drang about God in our schools and blah-de-blah-de-blah. And yeah, sure, we should have comparative religion in our classrooms, but we should also be talking about race in our classrooms. We should be talking about it in the context of the history of America in our classrooms. And the history of America, you're going to teach an American history class, a good chunk of it should not just be the history of the rich white guys. It should be the history of, and we're talking American, and we're talking the continents of the Americas. It should be the history of the conquered peoples, of the first peoples in this country, in both this country and South America. It should be the history of the conquerors and some of the horrors that they committed. It should be the history, of slavery. We should be teaching comprehensive history. But most important, at the legislative level, we're going to do things about things. It should be in the context of who has the power, who has the wealth. And you and I all know it's largely the white male power structure in this country. Who has the power, who has the wealth, and how can we put specific protections into place so that power and wealth can't be used to promulgate racism?
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
And how do we not just call out people who are racists, who have the ability to do damage, but slap them down?